forces than we do.
It's kind of like so this whole thing about the Strait of Hormuz, right? Every analyst said, hey, if we do this, they're going to shut down the strait. And then we do it. He does the press conference, and he said, I never thought they would have shut down the strait. That can't be true, because every analyst, I mean, they've been saying that, not only military analysts, but economic analysts have been saying this since the early 2000s, right? Leave this little piece of the world alone, because they're going to go and try to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So it becomes a question of, and again, like, a month ago, someone went into the futures market and they put a $2 billion short on oil. He comes out and he says, we've got to, right? Someone made, and it's happened 3 times, and Marshall, I think talked about this in one of Gary's rooms, right? So it's like,
yes,
someone is making money. I think I wouldn't put it past him that he's a part of whatever this scheme is. If you look at what just happened, right? So China is backfilling oil, making future payments to Iran, right? So I think it was the Ferguson Institute. Someone made it, they were like, how long? The idea was that we're going to starve Iran. How long can Iran do this, right? But China has been making payments against future deliveries of oil. So right now, the idea is that Iran is probably sitting on $30 billion in their, I forgot what in their capital fund. So they were saying that before, where they thought Iran would maybe have a month of money before they really started suffering. They now think Iran can hold out for another 18 months financially, because China is playing like they always do. The Chinese play the long game, and they have been making future payments. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Chinese ambassador, I think it was Friday, said, hey, we can't have, China is the world's manufacturer, and China needs that oil to manufacture shit. And the Chinese are starting to say to America, hey, you're causing a bigger problem than you think you are. They actually say that if this goes on for another 3 weeks, the fertilizer supply in this country, it's going to hurt us for 3 years. I don't think that Donald Trump is the guy who is taking in all of this information and making decisions based on it. Someone else is making these decisions, and he's either going along or they're just putting him in the chair and making these decisions. What do you think, Marshall?
I think he makes the decisions, but I think there are people like Stephen Miller behind the scenes who definitely exercise far more control than they probably should. Right, dude? You've heard me rail against the use of executive authority. I don't like it if it's Republican. I don't like it if it's Democrat. Takes power away. But I do want to pass the thing to Jarl. And Jarl, I do have a question for you. What genocide is he funding? I saw that. I'm curious.
I'm sure you're going to argue over the definition of genocide, but I argue Iran is on its way to be a genocide soon, just give it a few more months, and Gaza. So 3 genocide.
Yeah, but other than direct military aid, we didn't really have much to do with Gaza. That was kind of the Israelis on their own, wasn't it?
Sure. Yeah, sure. At least you don't deny it. Yeah. You guys, though, that's all. Well, Trump and the last however many presidents.
I wrote this down the other day. U.S. individual spending on something like funding Israel on a high year is between $20 and $25 a year. On And a high year, it's between $90 and $120. Like really, like per year. You're really paying nothing for this. We then pay for Ukraine, Egypt, Syria, and a couple of other places, and that amounts to like 1% of overall federal spending. Right? It's just not like it does not make up a significant amount of money we devote to things.
Most of the money that we actually give to Ukraine is Russian money, and that's why I don't know if you saw last week, they actually lifted, the administration lifted some of the Russian sanctions because before this, most of the aid we had kind of seized. I think it was $270 billion. Was it billion? We seized a lot of fucking money from the Russians, and this is the money that we were kind of giving to Ukraine to fight the war. And so when people would say we're giving Ukraine all this money, it wasn't actually true. We were giving the Ukrainians the Russian money. And that's why Putin was trying so hard to get the sanctions lifted. Yes. And I think just last week we actually lifted some of the sanctions, which is weird because they're going to use this money to go kill Ukrainians. Something is not making sense unless it does, is a phrase I use.
Something like rotten in Denmark.
Yeah, something's not making sense unless behind the scenes it's making perfect sense. Like all of these suspicious large oil shorts right before he comes out and says we have a deal, and then the Iranians say we don't have a deal, but the damage is kind of already done. Someone's made a lot of money. Something doesn't make sense unless it does.
Broke the Uncle Steve rule, 5 seconds of dead air.
5 seconds of silence, right? Yeah.
Bradford, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Hi. Good conversation. Did not even join the stage, but I'll provide color commentary where necessary.
Hey, David. How you doing?
This is a good little room we got going.
Yeah, no one's talked about anybody's
I'm
mother.
going to jump in and give my reasons why I think Trump is nuts. I'm going to stick to one thing, and it's Truth Social. A post he made today talks about how proud he is of being 15th cousin to King Charles. If you go ask an AI how likely you are to be 15th cousin, about 100%. In fact, it's about 100% at 8th cousin. So, congratulations, Trump.
Yeah, didn't he say he should go live in Buckingham or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace, he says. So anyways, I'm probably 15th cousin with him as well. The post, I have another post in my PTR, the one that he posted like 2 days ago, is him comparing, I don't know, some statue, I guess that's important to Americans, under Obama and under him. If you look very closely, in his own post that he shared, the clouds are identical in both pictures, right? Perfectly identical, which means it's a lie. It's AI generated. So that's 2 days and 2 stupid posts. And then if you go back 3 days ago, well, no, that's not true. If you go back about a week and a half ago, Donald Trump posted an ad on his own social media for stake.com crypto gambling. So if you're not gambling your money on stake.com, are you even American? And on that note, Trump is not.
It's funny though, right? Because they said when Biden left the White House, his net worth increased by, they said, $2 million, right? In Trump's first term, they said when he left the White House, he and his family's net worth increased by $2 billion. It's absolutely fucking insane. Like that you can increase your net worth.
He violates the emoluments clause at will.
And nobody does anything about it. You know, one of the things, if you listen to King Charles's speech today, he's like, hey man, you got 8, this is just like, summarizing. He said, you guys have 3 branches and it's supposed to be about checks and balances. but it's like everyone has just like, given up their authority. And
they've abdicated to the executive because it's easier to farm out those decisions on executive agencies where you can then blame in your elections for doing dumb shit. Right? It's an electoral thing. Right? That's why Congress has given up so much of its prerogatives. Because it's like easier to get reelected when you don't have to control much of what you do. When you get like to pass the hard questions onto the court and onto the executive. Like Congress is fundamentally lazy.
But then Marshall, what about the courts, right? So the courts were always kind of, we are independent, right? So, and historically, yeah, maybe, you'd have conservative justices and liberal justices, but it tended to be about the law and the Constitution, right? And so we have this thing now where they basically told him that under executive power, you can do whatever you want, even and up to, killing people. And you can't even question the motive of some of these decisions.
Are you lamenting the state of executive power, or are you lamenting the fact that the court has gotten to that place, or both?
I'm lamenting the adversarial nature of what the three branches should actually be to in service of what's in the best interest of the country, right? So I can understand, like, okay, you have left-leaning, right-leaning in the executive and in the congressional, right? But the courts, for most people, this is kind of like the last bastion of what's supposed to be balance in this country. And if the courts are no longer balanced, then are we basically like living in the Matrix? It's when you have, it's when you have, okay, we have a court order for this. The administration just says no. And then there's no, laws are only...
Out of the thousands of orders that the courts have given it, have disobeyed something like 400. So there is like a non-compliance aspect of this.
Yeah.
The executive is fundamentally rewriting the rules. But that then goes back to this argument of the executive is like far too powerful and the Congress has abdicated its responsibility, executive and court. But the abortion matter, that should be a political matter we decide, right? If there's a legal aspect of it, surely adjudicate it. But if we're adjudicating the largest issues of contention in America at the court level with 9 unelected justices, of course those justices are going to look illegitimate over time. Not because they be, but because they're having to deal with these really, really like wicked kind of socialist, well, not wicked's not the right word, these really kind of thorny and contentious social issues where you're not ever going to make everybody happy. I mean, you're never make everybody happy, but you know what I mean. Like, you're going to upset both sides of the aisle if you do it right.
Do you think, let me ask you this, right? Do you think, I've heard arguments that the court should have expanded like long ago. The arguments that I've heard literally from law professors was that a larger court, meaning Supreme Court, a larger court could actually hear more cases. Like, we have a very large...
Judiciary is a really big thing. I had this conversation with Duncan's judiciary. Her answer to me was, well, it's because we have to consider the partisan makeup. And that's the political answer from Congress. Like, the partisan makeup of the court, it's like, needs to be the way we do it, is you don't want to give the Democrats too much of an opportunity to like appoint justices, nor do you want to give the Republicans too much of an opportunity to appoint justices. And so that apparently, that's been like a sticking point in Congress for like going on 30 years or something like that.
But isn't that a problem though, right? Because the courts can actually affect individual lives, right? So,
yeah, I think By ads, it's
One for each state.
go ahead, Austin.
Maybe there should be 50, one for each state. But I was just going to say, like, yeah, the court should kind of like stick to things like medical malpractice. Like that would be.
I'm thinking good morning. 1997, Tony Blair introduced the entire justice system to become politically biased. I repeat, deliberately, he done that. Yeah, wait a second. 1997, he done that in order to comply, more or less, made the justice system as a weapon comply with any political system. Of course, he was right. Yeah, exactly. And the same time,
This is interesting because our system really does.
Was a foundation of your Democratic Party. He was a foundation of the Mr. Obama. You check it out. These are reality. You don't want to talk about it because you're ashamed of it. I repeat, you're ashamed of it. Either you don't know anything about it, either you never had a chance to search it, either you do know and you're ashamed of it. I don't care. But the reality is, all this concept, these principles, I'm a conservative. Always in my life have been conservative. We call it Republican. As an idea, I'm 70 years old. I've been fighting over 50 years against most importantly, against Islamic socialism, Islamic communism, all those shit. I know about it. Believe me, I know about it. Don't wind me up about this because I can go on and on. The reality is, somebody got to fight. As much I really hated to admit, you don't fight. Either you're not aware of it, what is the enemy, the true enemy is. It is on your doorstep. It is right on your doorstep, on your next county. This is reality in the Western world. And it is not by accident, it is by design. That is reality. I'm sorry, I really am sorry. But this is reality.
Yeah, that was left really quick.
That's what I was going to say. That took a dramatic turn.
Marshall, let me ask you, do you think a better system, even if people wouldn't agree, like if we had 12 Supreme Court justices and it was actually, remember back at the founding, if the president was one party, the vice president was the other, and they quickly did away with that, right?
That's the beauty of the United States. Because you give a chance to certain states, make it different. And Europe, they're trying to copy that. They can't. They cannot. That's the beauty of the United States, because there is that chance, that reality exists. Make it all different. You make that all different, like a Las Vegas. You make that look, and you glorify it, which is important, very important. And if that wouldn't exist, we will be living in dictatorship. We will be living in the God forbid. And that is reality. And somebody like Mr. Trump, he put it right on the microscope. He made it mega reality. And people can't handle it. It's too much. The light, the reality, the montage, the left, right, center, the information and fact, reality, past. He been brought up by this and he fucked us up. admire him for it. I do admire him for it. Because he's clever.
Marshall, what I was going to say is, like, do you think like it should be mandatory that the court, as you know, like, if someone's going to go get all the way to
I'm mentioning that because I'm mentioning it.
David, you just know what
you know, if the idea is that, you know, the Supreme Court is the court and lawyers have to come and make an argument, right? Do you think like it would be better if the court were balanced so that these arguments aren't the best arguments? You know, it's like a kid, you know, you have like a bunch of D1 basketball schools, but Rutgers is never going to beat Miami, you know?
Yeah, no, I run into this problem where I get to a place where I'm like, yes, that's the intent of people like us who are looking to solve the problems. The intent of the other people is to view the court largely partisanly. And I don't know which side of the aisle you're on. I mean, the Warren Court was judged as left-wing by some Republicans. The Rehnquist Court was judged as a little left-leaning. The Roberts Court is judged as right-leaning. So, like, there are a whole lot of people who make that decision based on their partisan interest. So it's not like, well, I support this because it's a good idea for the country. It's like, I support this because it screws over the other side. So I wonder how many of the high-end practical people you could really get plugged into solving that problem. Because that seems like the race to me between getting like the people that don't do anything to solve the problem and the people that actually want to solve the problem. Like, you kind of got to be there first. So that seems like a possible solution, but I don't.
You know, it's like Vegas. It's like Vegas or Atlantic City, right? Like, you go and you play. You know that the house always wins, but you think you think you've got a shot, like you've got a strategy, or you've got this or you've got that to increase your odds. But if you find out that the house is cheating, you turn the table over, and no one wants to play. And you know, in Gary's room, I think it was yesterday, we were talking about this idea about the correspondence dinner. People believing that the correspondence dinner and the incident was a setup. And so I don't believe it was a setup, but I think that's a symptom of a realness in this country. And the truth we need, because if they don't play, they want to turn the tables over. There are people who want to just burn it all down. That scares me. Yeah.
And that's the other same thing that scares me. They want to overtip the cart. They won't bother to pay attention to the rules, and then when we get nothing but grief from it, they're going to complain.
Because they, you know, like, again, I was on Wall Street for 16 years, man, and it's like, I can tell you that the system is rigged. I can absolutely tell you the system is rigged.
No kidding.
But I do.
More money and power you have.
Yeah. But there's doors, right? You know, there's doors.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a large issue about the economy, but I don't know the right way to diagnose that, so I kind of leave that to other people.
Well, then, Marshall, how do you explain America saying they don't negotiate with terrorists, but now you have terrorists negotiating with you? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on?
Hi, Stupid. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm a model. Any answer to that, Marshall? You don't negotiate with terrorists, but somehow terrorists have you up against the wall. So you're negotiating, and that's where you're begging to negotiate. Wait. You're begging to negotiate. You have no answer now. You plead the fifth? Okay.
No, I just don't have to tell you that morning. That's not all.
Yeah, but isn't that weird? Don't you think that's weird, Marshall?
No, and I.
Well, America has a new stance that they do negotiate with terrorists. Is that what we need to say?
Who are the terrorists, though? Who's she talking about, Marshall? Who's the
Well,
terrorist?
for 47 years, they convinced you that Iran was a terrorist nation. They still say it. Terrorists.
Why are you
Why are you negotiating?
The largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Why are you negotiating with terrorists?
We attacked them. We attacked them. I said, and because we attacked them, so you have to negotiate.
Oh, you have. Oh my God, you have to negotiate. Thank you so much. That wasn't so hard, was it?
I'm
Did you know
totally
that
confused.
BP? Did you know that British Petroleum used to be Anglo?
Sorry, I just couldn't do more.
No, but did you know that person? Because you said how. Did you know that person?
I don't know when this Kitover or this account called Point Taken that likes to come in and harass me. Either or, they're annoying.
God, Kitover's back.
Oh no, with a falsetto voice. Gosh, wannabe Richard Nixon putting people into a corner with strange falsetto questions. The world's a sketchy place these days. Is my mic working?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I wasn't getting the echo thing around my PTR. That was it. What was that guy trying to say about Tony Blair? I don't think Tony Blair influences the Democratic Party. No.
What he was trying to say was that the Blair administration monopolized their justice system in a way that was unequal, and he's a kind of a precursor to the United States. Lots of different stuff which were not really kind of joined together. They were a little bit disparate.
Which was strange because I think the British Supreme Court was founded after Blair's term, as being maybe Royfield knows the specifics about that. The British Supreme Court's a recent invention as far as I remember, very recent.
Blair kind of went into hiding after Iraq. Blair was one of the guys that
he did.
kind of, they recently brought him back out. I think he's going to be a consultant on the Gaza thing.
Yeah, he's one of the main architects, I guess. I don't think Trump's good at delegating and appointing, but that was a pretty good pick for the Board of Peace. Is he in charge of the Board of Peace?
I think he's significantly high up, and
yeah, that was one of Trump's best appointments.
Reverend Scott, I saw your PTR earlier. I'm very happy for you, bro.
Is the jazz coming through on the headphones?
We hear you.
The jazz?
No.
The jazz a little bit.
Oh, cool. I wish I could play piano like that.
Austin, where are you located? Are you in Austin, Texas?
No, I'm a Californian. I identify as being from the greater Los Angeles area. I'm at a jazzy place at the moment.
What kind of weather you guys get?
That's beautiful. You see,
It's chilly.
It's kind of like mid-sunset.
I gotta get up in the morning, so appreciate it. See you guys on the road.
It's always good to chat. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wait, are you going to Detroit?
No, I was actually in Detroit 2 weeks ago.
Never been there. It seems like a cool place.
It's cool, man. But I had this. Did I tell you about the tornado warning?
Wow, the Midwest.
Okay, I'm a city boy, dude.
Yeah. Like I don't know much about the Midwest. I was going to ask though, do you know anyone that's moved to NYC from like a tropical or Mediterranean? How do people adjust?
That's interesting. I know people who've moved. So do me a favor. When you say tropical Mediterranean, I know people who moved here from Greece.
Yeah, that's like a Mediterranean climate. Like
Yeah,
the tropical climate, it's like
yeah.
Caribbean.
Yeah. New York is really, Astoria is like, the Astoria, Queens is like the Greek capital of New York City. It's nothing but Greek restaurants and Greek families and
Pizza.
yeah.
Just stuff going high.
Yeah, that's really, really. New York, I was in Chinatown earlier today. I go in like once a month. I meet my buddy. We go get Peking duck. They hang the ducks in the window. When I tell people that the ducks are hanging in the window who don't live in New York, they all get disgusted. They're like, yeah,
that would upset Californians, yeah, a lot. I don't think that fly like very many places in California.
That does not gross me out in any way, shape, or form.
Peking duck is the best thing, man.
You'd have people like throwing paint at the window. If that was in California, I think we banned the sale and resale of fur coats here. It's crazy.
No way, really? It's too hot anyway. It's probably too hot.
Yeah, it's probably too hot, but I want a furry coat. Don't make it so I can't get one.
But it's funny you say that.
That's a good thing to know. Like, you don't have the real political power in California.
But look at the brands, right? So Canada Goose removed fur from their hoods. A lot of the winter, like Montclair, they all took fur. I think Macaj is I know you guys don't get cold weather, but like cold weather fashion is a big deal here. And if you don't know who Canada Goose is, right?
I know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but they finally, after years and years, they finally banned furs from the hood, and the jackets don't look that great. I kid you not, that sounds shitty.
The power of California PETA might have pulled it off, but I wonder who makes the best like synthetic fur. That's an interesting thing.
Even synthetic down, but I understand it gets cold here, man. Like, we actually had a couple of days in November, early January where it was like 8 degrees in the city. And, I don't know if the synthetic down is as...
I'm sure folks have been... That'll be like a rabbit hole that I'll not GPT about.
I actually stopped reading the Epstein files for literally a month and a half. I was obsessed. I was literally obsessed every weekend. I'd take my laptop to the coffee shop because I didn't want it on my Wi-Fi. And I would just start going through the Epstein files. And there's some really gross stuff in those files, man.
It's scary as hell. That dude was a monster.
I'm going to tell you something, right? So there's been bets on the Upper East Side for over a year and a half that she was going to get cut loose, and that when she got cut loose, she was going to be in the wind. And I really, at first, I'm like, nah, I don't think it. I really do think they're going to cut her loose soon.
Melania?
No, Ghislaine Maxwell. They're going to cut her loose, and people have been saying, no, they're going to cut her loose. She's going to hang out there. She's got too much. They're going to cut her loose. And I'm like, nah, they're never going to cut her loose. I think they're going to cut her loose. I really do believe they're going to cut her loose. And then that's just going to be the end. They're going to tell everybody that's it. It's over their lives. And that's just going to be the end of it. Which is terrible, by the way. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
synthetic furs instead of like sketchy criminals.
Later.
I'm just chilling, Marshall. What about you?
Going to meet a buddy at a bar for a drink.
I gave up drinking in October, so I've drank since then. What's your favorite drink, Marshall?
White Russians, the view divides, and mocktails.
I like a more simple drink.
Sorry, we got grabbing some stuff in my mom said something to me.
A lot of people don't like, or they like this drink. I know it's considered kind of simple, but I'm a big fan of like a Moscow Mule. I love the ginger in it. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Scott, do you like mocktails or mocktails catching on in the Northeast?
I'm sorry, you have to be a complete loser to drink a mocktail. I don't even drink alcohol anymore, right?
You're just like, I'd rather give it up entirely instead of drinking pussy drinks.
Yeah, like actually, right?
You're like, no idea.
Especially the
You knew these were fighting words with the Californian. We have our $20 mocktails and we take them to your shoes.
I live in
Wait, you
California.
paid $20 for a mocktail? If it doesn't have alcohol,
but a lot of people do.
The worst is 0% alcohol beer. Who the
Beer?
Who the fuck enjoys the taste of beer? I've never been a big beer drinker in my life. It's so gross. The people
I feel like it's going out of style.
it just tastes.
Depends on what you drink. Like, I got a couple of white ones.
That has some like citrus flavor in it. You can get like whatever. They all taste like wet.
I mean, I like tequila. Now, that's a good one for me.
When I drank, I mainly drank like Topo Chico or seltzer. My friend put me on with my friend. He's the one who got Topo Chico. I was also a
We
big
gotta get you on this mineral water. Okay, what kind?
I was also a big fan of soju, the Korean drink. Especially like peach flavored soju. They had grape flavored soju, strawberry flavored soju, kiwi flavored soju. So many. Marshall, do you drink soju?
Never tried it before.
Oh, you haven't? You should try it the next time you're at the liquor store, or if you're at like a Korean restaurant. It's kind of sweet. It's like a sweet alternative to vodka, lesser ABV also.
You know what I would just rather do? No, smoke a bowl. I like smoking a bowl is preferential over drinking.
No, I would disagree. Drinking is so much. I smoke weed every fucking day, but drinking was so much funner.
But I think Marshall's right in terms of harm reduction and stuff like that. But don't go overboard with either.
No, alcohol control is fine.
And like everything is moderation, including moderation.
If you drink alcohol excessively, you're gonna die. If you smoke too much weed excessively, you are gonna cognitively hurt yourself. But other than that cognitive impairment, you're not gonna die, right? And so yeah, excessive marijuana has definite negative side effects, which is number one, cognitive impairment. But it won't kill you, right? Like excessive alcohol.
Yeah.
Marshall, I hear the keys are rumbling. Are you gonna drink and drive?
Remember, don't drinking weed. It could ruin your life. You could get a DUI with you.
I'm just going to a bar.
And so if you plan on driving to the bar, how do you plan on getting back to your home?
Remember, always find a DD.
But one beer is not going to make me tipsy. It just doesn't.
I'm sure you're gonna only drink one. I've seen you drunk before. You stop at one beer.
Okay, that's fair. I'll probably have two, but no more.
Are we
Find
talking?
a DD.
Are we
I
talking?
promise this buddy won't seem at all intoxicated. He can take my keys.
There should be an app for finding a DD.
It's a designated driver.
That's a good.
Yeah, these are like space aliens. Take an Uber. Like these space aliens are having fun.
I have a story, Marshall. I'm sure you can relate. So this story might have hypothetically happened.
Okay, I
So
don't
I'm
think.
for
Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly.
it happened. So I'm at a bar, and I hypothetically and potentially allegedly have like 10 shots of vodka. I thereafter hypothetically start driving home. I thereafter hypothetically am pulled over by the cops for running a stop sign. This is during the height of COVID though. And so I see the cop exit his vehicle. I'm like, oh fuck, what do I do? I'm hypothetically about to get a DUI. Then I see my COVID mask in the car. Now this is during the height of COVID. I think it was like 2021. And so, it was full lockdowns, 6 feet rule, etc. And I hypothetically see the cop walking toward me. Thereafter, I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I see my COVID mask, I put it on. The cop does not ask me to take my COVID mask off. I hypothetically get off. That was also one of the few times I drank. Never hypothetically drink and drive.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to a lot.
Based.
Not very responsible.
Some of us can smoke and drive.
I mean, it's the exact opposite of responsible. I had a family member who died that way, so it's not behavior I should express.
You know what's insane? That before the 1980s, drinking and driving was fully legal in America. I find that so.
Yeah, have you ever seen the hillbilly commercial with that guy? He goes, getting to where man can't work a 12 to 18-hour shift and then get in his truck and have a couple cold ones on the way home.
Yeah, like before 1980 was everyone just drunk driving? Like, I can only imagine how the streets must have been.
I'm not sure.
You know what I find so weird? That everyone did used to smoke indoors before like the 1990s, right? And you'll have people say, yeah, I've smoked like I know this one older guy He's like, yeah, I used to smoke cigarettes on the plane all the time. And I was like, what the fuck? You could smoke on planes back in the day? That is insane.
Yeah. And then they had a because the smoke didn't go all over the plane anyway.
I would be so annoyed if I was in that plane, like 10 people smoking up. You're in a tiny cabin. I would be so pissed off.
So I was getting high and driving, and I didn't complete a stop at a stop sign, so a cop pulls me over, and then he says, "What's that I smell?" And while I'm trying to think of a good answer, he says, "Were you smoking a cigar?" And I went, "Yes, sir, that's what I was doing." He didn't want to take the old man in, so he just gave me an excuse. And so, if you do smoke in your car, maybe keep a half-smoked cigar in there.
One time I smoked and I drove. And the cop pulls me over. And it was because back then I had a legal tint on my car. And so I had tinted front windows. I bought it from the dealership. It was this SUV I bought. And the dealership sold it to me with illegal front tint windows. And so I get pulled over by the cops. I'm like, oh fuck, I just came back from my friends. My hands must smell like weed. I have a cup of coffee next to me. I dunk my hands in boiling hot coffee. And yeah, the cop didn't notice the smell. Because I just smelled like coffee, right? But it was so painful. I was like, oh my god. Marshall, one time, DWI story.
No, he's not, by the way. He's not crazy. He's just a horrible human being.
Yes. So I had two interactions. One on my land. I was hunting and smoking weed, and some federal agents moseyed up to my fence, I guess because they smelled the pot. I walked up to him with a pipe in my ear because I was high like a dumbass, and it fell out. And the cop was like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's the thing I found." And the cop looks at me and goes, "You want to try that shit again?" Yeah, yeah, definitely try that again. And so I ended up talking to the cops. It was a bad thing, right? Because we got a ticket out of the day. That was about it.
They let you off, but they just didn't do anything.
Yeah. A pipe and a grinder in my car, and I had not been smoking, but it smelled like weed. And the cop pulled me over and confiscated my pipe and grinder. It was like, "You're lucky that you didn't have any weed." And the thing I thought about to this day was that there was weed loaded in. And the cop didn't look. And so I got away with it. But those incidents are few and far between, 7 and 10 years ago. Don't do that stuff anymore.
One time when I was in undergrad, we were smoking in my friend's car, on campus, because we had gone out to Malibu for the day, and we come back, and we were before we head back to our dorms, let's smoke up, right? And so we were smoking in his car. This is before weed was legalized in California. So this is in 2015. And so we were smoking in the car, and for some reason, LAPD gang unit pulls up on us. Now, this is a pretty nice area we're in, right? This is it. I went to Pomona for undergrad. And so I'm very surprised. What the fuck is LAPD gang unit? And I guess he was just driving through the area, this gang unit member. And, he saw us smoking in the car, so he pulls us over. I mean, not pulls us over, we were parked, but he, knocks on the window. I, had an anxiety suicide attack almost when, imagine you're just smoking weed in the car you're hotboxing, right? And next thing you know, you hear a little knock on the window. It's the middle of the night. And it's a fucking cop shining his flashlight, right?
God, in Texas, I'd suck get you arrested. If they find you fucking smoking in your car, they're probably going to arrest you.
And all the cop told us was, hey, don't drive after this. And we were like, yes, sir, yes.
Lou, what do you think is with the uptick in political violence in America? I haven't heard your take on this. Like, nowhere near like the historic violence in the 60s or of the 1920s, but it's still upticked in like in a really bad way.
I think it does. But how about this? The right wing, the Republicans want us to shut the fuck up. They say, hey, your rhetoric is what's causing this. Well, if my calling Trump a fascist or saying he's a threat to democracy is causing this, don't ask me to shut the fuck up. I'm telling the truth. Stop acting like fucking fascists. Stop being a threat to democracy, and then I'll stop saying. How about that?
Well, talking about Trump,
I mean, I don't like. Did you get the intention is like to bring down the level, and we have to build with each other rather than tear.
You're saying we need to build up. And I agree with what Billy said. And I don't know if you saw today, and this isn't a small matter, although it seems small. This year, if you want to renew your passport, it's going to have a giant picture of Trump.
Yeah, which I think is stupid.
I don't know. Yeah, let me just finish.
No, which is just like incredibly stupid.
And so we have a person who is so narcissistic, so infatuated with himself. He has created a cult of personality similar to an actual dictator. Similar to Mussolini, right? Mussolini had created a cult of personality around himself, so did Hitler. And I'm not saying
populism in the United States does this.
I'm not saying Trump is Hitler, but the fact he has created this cult of personality where now it's the Kennedy Trump Center. The National Park Pass. If you get an annual National Park Pass, it has a picture of Trump on it. The passport has a picture of Trump on it. This is
So imagine this. You wake up one day and you say to yourself, I can't stand this. I'm going to destroy anything with his name on it. You give everyone 30 days notice. Get his name off your hotel or whatever building it is, or I'm going to bring it down. That's my fantasy. Be a great short story.
Or did you hear about the recent corruption? There's so much corruption. I'm not talking about the main. I'm not talking about the Trump nuclear energy company. I'm not talking about Trump and Dubai. I'm not talking about Jared Kushner and Dubai. Recently, there was a Syrian businessman who had $12 million in contracts under sanctions. So the Syrian businessman, to get out of these sanctions, is creating a Trump-branded golf course in the Middle East, paying Trump hundreds of millions of dollars for the licensing fee. And also, he has included Jared Kushner in a $1 billion hotel deal on an island in Albania. So Jared Kushner is now part of the $1 billion deal. And this is just like such a brazen corruption. And people were complaining about Hunter Biden. But how do you ignore it?
If they put his name on the dollar bill, I'll be burning one every day.
I wonder what he'll put his name on next. Because he already defiled the Kennedy Center. And he defiled the passport. And he defiled the National Park Pass. If you get like the $80 extra charge. think he's crazy. I do think he's a narcissist. It's very dangerous to have a narcissist as a president, right? And it's just, I think people have become normalized to Trump's narcissism and corruption. And that I find dangerous, right? Because every single day, like I said about the Syrian businessman and the $12 billion contracts, every single day there's money. Don Jr. and Eric Jr. are making money. They're doing stuff on Poly Market in dollars, right? That's it.
They were president.
You better remember, Obama had that, what was it, a can suit? And can we compare Trump to that corruption?
Obama made a damn good deal with the fucking Iranians to keep them, keep an eye on them. He had inspectors there and everything. And of course, Trump got rid of that too. Just like he got rid of the CDC and the virus tent. I mean, that's like he made science go away at Harvard and other places.
Yeah,
it's like he must killed 600,000 people, got rid of USAID.
Well, Austin, we were just about or the COVID conspiracy theories, right? Like, I think the Republican Party became irreparable in their brokenness once they fully, encapsulated the COVID conspiracy into their politics. And the COVID conspiracy was so disgusting because COVID mainly targeted the most marginalized in our society, especially the elderly, those with health conditions already. And, they didn't give a fuck, right? They were like, oh, let them die. It's natural selection. We want to barbecue, or, we want to go to the ball game or some shit like that.
Yeah, I've read and studied. I don't know, but it's weird, the people that hate Charles Darwin and they love social Darwinism, that's a really concerning thing. Trump seems to be really into social Darwinism.
Yeah, and COVID, the Republican COVID response was equally that, right? Where Trump keeps on bringing up his IQ, his genetic IQ. I don't know if you guys have listened to this. He'll talk about how he was gifted with such a high IQ. And, okay, so that's a form of Darwinism, sure. But they disregard science whenever it goes against their narrative, right? Like we saw with COVID. Like we saw with the fact that Anthony Fauci has private security because he gets so many death threats. Just crazy people are sending him and his family death threats all the time. And it's just so disgusting. But does anyone have their passport up for renewal this year? Is anyone here going to be getting the Trump?
Mine's actually up for renewal. How do I avoid getting the Trump stamp on it?
You can't avoid it if you're going to get a
No. Wow, this is a cosmic lesson, not to procrastinate. I don't know
if you get the National Park Pass. There's an annual National Park Pass you can get for $80. And that also has Trump's face on it nowadays. It used to only be George Washington on the face. Now it's where they had a different design sometimes also. Now it's Trump and George Washington on the Park Pass. And another thing is, I think he gutted the National Park Service by 80%, right? There were massive layoffs in the National Park Service. And so, it's like you're putting your face on the National Park Pass while you gutted 80% of National Park Rangers.
He's really unhinged. Wait, the Washington Passport Bureau. And Bryce Romney is an expert at this.
I do gotta give the Trump family credit. They started a nuclear technology company, right? And it just so happened the nuclear technology company was founded the same time the Trump administration plans on giving a bunch of government contracts to that specific type of nuclear fusion company. And so, you know, the Trump family are kind of geniuses, right? Starting a nuclear fusion company. I think they fused it with the social media company Truth Social. Or is it Truth Social they fused it with? They fused it with
Thinking of adding an online casino to the website.
Yeah, but their online casino is already poly market, right? They make a lot of money that way.
No, they want another one that's part of Truth Social Report.
Hello, good morning, evening, afternoon.
Yeah. How do I make sure I don't get the Trump stamp on my passport?
Yeah, so don't use the Washington Passport Office.
I don't live close to Washington, D.C. The Washington State, how do I make sure it doesn't get filed there?
So as long as you renew it online or at your local passport office, like, because I know some people have to go in person to try to get it immediately, you can avoid it. It's that particular office that will be giving out those.
Thank you. So it's the expedited office that manages.
Excuse me, sorry.
It's like the expedited office that will have the Trump stamp on it.